Hey everyone, it's your family doctor. Thanks for tuning in. I sit in my exam room day after day, and one patient after another walks through that door. And honestly, sometimes it genuinely breaks my heart, not because their conditions are so terribly complicated or rare, but because so many of the problems I see are either self inflicted or they come from people falling for misleading ads and internet hype that promise the world and deliver nothing but frustration. Just the other day, I had a woman in her early 40s, well dressed, sharp, came in with her designer sunglasses on. She takes them off, points at her face, and says, "Doc, look at these brown spots. Why are they getting darker? And my skin, it's getting so thin and so sensitive. No matter what I put on it." She told me she spends more on med spas and aesthetic clinics in a year than most people spend on a decent used car. And what's the result? Her face turns bright red with the tiniest bit of sun, a little breeze. She breaks out in a rash. She can't sleep well anymore. She's irritable. Her periods are all over the place, scanty, dark, irregular, and she's just exhausted. I looked at her and said, "You're paying good money to make yourself miserable." And I meant it. You're treating your face like you're repainting the outside of a house. Layer on, scrape off, primer, top coat, repeat. But have you ever stopped to think, if the bricks inside that wall are crumbling and the foundation is cracked, does it really matter how fresh that outside paint looks, instead of spending hundreds of dollars every month on creams, serums, lasers, and facials? Why not take some of that same budget and invest in what's going on inside your body, because that's where the real foundation is. And this is exactly why I'm bringing this up today, because so many of us have gotten it completely backward. We hear all this talk about antioxidants, free radicals, oxidative stress, and Western science describes all of that beautifully, correctly, in great detail. So we run out and buy expensive grapeseed extract, pomegranate pills, goji juice, stem cell injections, glutathione drips. Some of these cost thousands of dollars a pop, and sure, they might give you a quick, temporary glow. But that's like putting cut flowers in a vase of water. They look great for a couple of days, but the roots aren't growing. Nothing has changed at the foundation. Pretty soon they wilt again. And here's what I want to share with you today. Our ancestors, thousands of years ago, figured this out, and the solution is all around us. It's inexpensive. It's available at many local health food stores, Asian markets, and even online, but hardly anyone knows about it, or more accurately, hardly anyone knows how to use it properly. Today, we're talking about something often called the King of Anthocyanins. Sounds fancy, right? Sounds like it must come from some remote Himalayan peak where it blooms once a century and costs more than your monthly rent. Nope, you can find it in the corner of many shops. It's very affordable, and in some places, even the birds just peck at it and nobody thinks twice. I'm talking about black goji berry, sometimes called black wolfberry, but honestly, I'm not just here to give you a one berry wonder speech. I want to use this little dark fruit to flip your entire understanding of beauty, health, and aging right on its head, because if you only take away eat this one thing, you'll miss the real point. So let's go deeper. Let me ask you a question. Why, as we get older, does our hair turn gray, our skin get dry, our vision get blurry, our joints ache? Western medicine will tell you cellular aging, slower metabolism, dropping hormone levels. All true, every single one of those is correct. But here's the problem: those are descriptions of what's happening, not explanations of why it's happening at the deepest level. And you can't stop cellular aging by soaking yourself in formaldehyde, and you don't want to rely on hormone replacement forever if you don't have to, right? What about your body's own ability to regenerate and rebalance in the traditional medicine framework I've studied and used alongside my Western training? We look at nature for clues. In winter, water freezes, trees drop their leaves, everything slows down and stores up. For a woman, after about age 35, digestive fire begins to wane. The face loses some of its natural luster. Hair starts to thin or fall. These are normal shifts. But here's the thing. Why do some 50-year-old women look vibrant, tight-skinned, energetic, like they're in their mid-30s, while some 30-year-olds look tired, drained, puffy, and much older than their age? In my clinical experience, a huge part of that answer comes down to one core concept: kidney energy, or what I often call your vital reserve. Now, I know the moment many people hear kidney, they immediately think about men's health, erectile function, or lower back issues. That's a big misconception, and I want to clear that up right now. Women need kidney support just as much, if not more, than men. Why? Because in this traditional framework, the kidney system governs water metabolism, manifests in the hair and nails, opens into the ears, so your hearing, your hair quality, your skin's moisture all connect to this system. But more importantly, the kidney is considered the root of life. It stores your deep, fundamental essence. Think of it as your body's savings account, the endowment you're born with. You can add to it, you can preserve it, but you can also deplete it. Imagine your body as an old-fashioned oil lamp. The oil is your kidney essence. Abundant oil means a bright, steady flame, and that brightness shows up on your face. Not as a thick layer of foundation or highlighter, but as that inner glow, like jade or a pearl, soft, warm, radiant. When that oil runs low, you can buy the most beautiful, expensive lampshade in the world, but the flame will still flicker and dim. That's why so many women look great right after they put on makeup. But when it comes off, the skin underneath is gray, dull, sagging, tired. That glow cannot come from a jar. It has to come from within. And that's the core of what we're talking about today. Now, what makes black goji berry so special? First, look at its color in the traditional 5-element framework: green for liver, red for heart, yellow for spleen, white for lungs, black for kidneys. Black is the color that resonates with the kidney system. This isn't superstition, it's centuries of careful observation of how nature works. But there are plenty of black foods out there: black beans, black sesame, black rice, black fungus, black dates. So why do I single out black goji as the king? Here's the key. It doesn't just tonify, it also unblocks. That's the game changer. Many women take heavy, rich tonics like gelatinous donkey hide products, bird's nest, or powerful herbal blends, and they end up with breakouts, dry mouth, constipation, or even skip periods. Why? Because their system is too blocked to absorb anything. Your body is like a pond that's full of mud and silt. If you pour clean, nutritious water into that pond, it stays murky, or worse, it overflows and causes symptoms like acne, heat, or inflammation. That's what traditional practitioners call deficiency without the ability to absorb. Black goji is different. Where does it grow? In the harsh, high-altitude deserts of places like Qinghai, over 2,000 to 3,000 meters up, with intense sunlight, fierce winds, massive sandstorms, and extreme temperature swings, scorching during the day, freezing at night. For a plant to survive there, it has to develop an extraordinary resilience, a vital, resistant energy that can withstand that harsh environment. That energy, when we consume it, translates into its remarkably high anthocyanin content and its ability to break through stagnation to move stuck things. Western science tells us anthocyanins are powerful antioxidants, dozens of times stronger than vitamin C in some test tube models, and I'm all for that science. It's real, measurable, valuable, but from a broader clinical perspective, I see that same anthocyanin power as a force that can transform what we call cold and stagnant conditions in the body. Let me give you a quick self-check. Put your hand on your belly. Does it feel cool to the touch? Are your hands and feet often cold, even in a warm room? Now, take a mirror. Look under your tongue. Do you see dark purplish veins that look like little earthworms? Those are all signs of what we call cold blood stasis and dampness. These clog your blood vessels, your energy channels, your tissues, including your uterus. When your chi and blood can't flow freely, your face shows it: dark spots, fine lines, breakouts, a sallow or grayish complexion. Those brown spots, they're like the remnants of stagnant blood showing through the skin, waste material piled up underneath. If you don't address that underlying stagnation, if you just laser them away or use light therapy, it's like sweeping dust under the rug. It looks clean for a minute, but eventually it's going to resurface, often darker, deeper, and harder to treat. Black goji's power is twofold. It nourishes kidney yin, that's the oil for your lamp, but it also, through its vibrant, upward moving energy, helps open up stuck liver energy and clear those blockages. This is where the liver-kidney connection comes in. In this system, the liver stores blood, the kidneys store essence. Blood and essence nourish each other. They're like two sides of the same coin. A woman's face is, in many ways, a mirror of her liver and kidneys. If liver blood is sufficient, your complexion has a healthy rosy hue. If kidney essence is strong, your skin stays moist, supple, and firm. How clean that mirror is. That tells you the state of your liver and kidney reserve. Now, let me tell you a story, one that I've carried with me for years ago. I was volunteering at a free clinic in a very remote rural area near the border between two arid, windy provinces: high altitude, intense sun, constant sand, and dust. The local farmers spend their entire days outside working the land. By all logic, you'd expect their skin to be rough, dry, weathered, and age much faster than their actual years. But I met this one woman. She was in her early 50s. Her skin, while not as smooth as a baby's, was firm and had a healthy kind of glow. No big age spots, no deep furrows. And her eyes, they were bright, clear, alert. Her voice was strong, energetic. Remember this. If you want a quick read on someone's aging process, look at their eyes. When the whites of the eyes become dull, yellowish, or cloudy, that's a sign that their deep reserves are running low. You can't fake that. So I asked her, "What's your secret? What kind of skincare do you use?" She laughed. She said, "Doctor, we're poor country folks. We can't afford skincare." She told me she didn't do anything special. She just had a small patch of black goji bushes on their farm. They sold the best, most beautiful berries, but the broken ones, the imperfect ones, she couldn't stand to throw them away. So for the past 10 years or so, starting in her early 40s, she just grabbed a small handful every day, steeped them in warm water, drank it, and sometimes tossed them into her porridge. She didn't know anything about anthocyanins or free radicals. She just said it made her eyes feel less dry, her back didn't ache as much, she slept better, had more energy. And she rarely caught colds. She didn't even wear sunscreen. And yet her face held up beautifully against that harsh environment. Sometimes the simplest, most unglamorous method is the smartest one. Meanwhile, we have city folks spending the equivalent of a nice dinner on a single jar of face cream, counting calories, eating plain salads, and chasing every new wellness trend. And yet, when I examine their tongues, they're swollen pale with teeth marks on the edges, covered in a thick white coating, their pulses weak, thin, barely palpable. That's what I call gilding the outside while the inside is crumbling. So I often say this to my patients: the best cosmetic in the world isn't from any luxury brand, it's your own chi and blood. Black goji is like a good conductor. It doesn't produce the chi and blood by itself, but it helps your body remember how to do its own job. That's what we want: self-sustainability, not lifelong dependence on any one pill or powder. But, and this is a big but, there are some major mistakes people make with this berry. And if you don't avoid these, you are wasting your money. And worse, you might actually cause new problems. So let me call these out clearly. Mistake number one: using boiling water. I see people toss black goji into a pot and boil it for 10 minutes like it's a piece of bark. You are cooking the life right out of it. Anthocyanins are delicate. They hate high heat, strong light, and prolonged exposure to oxygen. That beautiful deep purple or blue color you see when they steep, a 100-degree boil destroys it in seconds, turning it brownish and murky. You're left with nothing but woody, flavorless water. You might as well be drinking steeped tree bark. All that nutrition you paid for gone. Mistake number two: overdoing it. I know the logic. If a little is good, a lot must be better, right? Not in medicine and not in nutrition. Anything, even the most wonderful food or herb, becomes a burden when taken in excess beyond what your body can handle. Take ginseng, for example, a powerful energy tonic. Too much and you get nosebleeds. Insomnia, high blood pressure, agitation. Black goji is generally mild, but if you have a very weak digestive system, you get diarrhea from cold water, bloating from a little fat, and you chug huge amounts of this, you'll feel worse. Your body can't process it, and it becomes another chore for your system. So today, I want to give you not just a take this tip, but a complete practical step-by-step system for using black goji effectively: how to choose good quality, what to pair it with for different needs, how to brew it properly, when to drink it, and who should be careful. This isn't textbook theory. This is what I've used in my practice for years, rooted in both ancient principles and real patient outcomes. It won't cost a fortune. You don't need any fancy equipment, just a few small adjustments to your routine. Stick with it for a month. And if you don't see and feel a difference, come back and tell me. I'll be genuinely surprised. Now, let me address a question I get all the time. Why do I recommend this about 3 times a week rather than every single day? The number 3 has meaning. In many systems, it represents change, initiation, kickstarting a process. It's not about a monotonous every single day routine. If you take the same thing daily, your body can get lazy. Receptors down regulate. Just like if you ate your favorite takeout every night, it wouldn't be special anymore, and your body absorbs it less efficiently. We want to give the body a day or two to process, to do its own work. We use the black goji to give a gentle push, then let the body walk on its own for a couple of days. Then we push again. We're teaching the body to dance, not carrying it forever. This concept is about balancing, clearing, and tonifying. Clean first, or clean while you tonify, but never just tonify blindly. Most women's skin issues are not from a lack of nutrients. They're from too much accumulated junk, processed foods, preservatives, artificial colors, air pollution, chlorine in water, plus all those sugary lattes, fried snacks, desserts, and fast food. Your body can't process it all efficiently. It turns into dampness, phlegm, and blood stasis. That garbage gets lodged under your skin. In your lymph, in your tiny capillaries, you can pour the world's finest nutrients into a swamp, but it's still a swamp. So before or alongside black goji, we need to clear the road. That doesn't mean strong medicine, it means small, consistent dietary and lifestyle adjustments. Get your digestive engine warmed up so it can actually utilize what you give it. Let me give you a real case. I treated a 28-year-old woman who worked in a high-stress advertising agency, long hours, erratic meals, constant deadlines. She came to me with terrible closed comedy needs. Those stubborn little bumps under the skin that you can't pop, giving her a rough, uneven texture. Her periods were barely there, light, dark brown like coffee grounds with small clots. She had read about black goji being good for skin, so she bought a bunch online and started brewing strong cups every day. What happened? More breakouts, oilier skin, more anxiety. She came to me in tears, felt disfigured, didn't want to go out, canceled social plans. When I checked her pulse and looked at her tongue, I said, "You have what we call true cold with false heat. On the surface, you see pimples, red, inflamed, angry. But your uterus is like an icebox. You have heat on top, cold below, and a thick layer of dampness and phlegm blocking the middle. You used black goji to nourish fluids, but because your digestive center was blocked, those fluids couldn't rise. Instead, they just added to the dampness, trapping the heat on your face. This wasn't the berry's fault. It was the wrong approach for your particular situation at that moment. I told her to stop the goji temporarily. I gave her a very simple, gentle 2-ingredient tea to warm her digestive center. Nothing exotic, just a few days of that. Once her bowel movements firmed up, her hands and feet felt warmer. We reintroduced the black goji, but in a completely new way, paired with something else. That pairing made all the difference. A month later, she came back, skin clear, bright, with a real translucency to it. She asked me, "How did it suddenly work?" I said, "It's not magic. It's about the right method, the right combination, and the right timing for your individual body." So what did we add? What's the perfect partner for black goji? Think about this. Black goji is kidney directed. It's heavy, dark, and tends to go downward. If we want its benefits to reach the face, to brighten skin, reduce puffiness, even out tone, we need an elevator to lift it upward. If you take black goji alone, it might nourish your lower body and kidneys, which is good, but you might not see a big change in your complexion for months, if at all. We need an ingredient that's light, uplifting, that directs energy upward, and that ingredient is something you might already have in your kitchen or tea drawer, dried rosebuds. But the ratio matters. Whether it's dried or fresh matters. When you add it matters. Details. Too many people just toss a handful of goji and a handful of rose petals into a mug, pour water over it, and leave it all day. By evening, it's a brownish, oxidized mess, all that anthocyanin power destroyed. The real Queen's Glow Tea, as I like to call it, has a strict brewing order and temperature. Miss one step and you lose half the effect. Here's the underlying logic. In this framework, the liver and kidneys are connected like mother and child. The kidneys are water, the liver is wood. Wood needs water to grow. Imagine a potted plant. You can water it, but if you never loosen the soil, the roots suffocate. Black goji is that high quality water. Deep, pure, nourishing rose, on the other hand, goes to the liver and helps move stuck energy. It's like aerating that soil, letting the roots breathe. Many women's skin issues, dullness, dark circles, pigmentation, breakouts come from liver energy stagnation and blood stasis. Your energy gets stuck, blood can't flow, debris piles up. If you just add water, black goji, it's like a stagnant pond. It'll eventually smell and attract bugs. Rose is that gentle breeze that ripples the water, gets it moving. Once it moves, all that settled sludge, pigmentation, old metabolic waste gets gradually flushed out. That's why this combination works so much faster and deeper. So let me give you the full recipe step by step. Get a small notebook or take a picture of this on your phone. Ingredients: 15 to 20 wild black goji berries, and please make sure they're naturally colored. The real ones have a slightly uneven muted color. If they're intensely, uniformly black, they might have been dyed. 3 to 5 dried rosebuds. Look for a natural. Gentle fragrance, not an artificial perfumey smell. 2 red dates, jujubes. These should be pitted. The flesh is gently warming and supports the digestive system, but the pit is considered a bit too hot and can cause dryness, so we remove it. The method. This is critical. Never ever use just boiled, rolling hot water. I cannot emphasize this enough. Think of anthocyanins as delicate, alive. They have a sensitivity. Use 100 degrees Celsius water, and you're essentially killing them. The water will turn muddy, brownish gray. And that tells you the anthocyanins are destroyed. Instead, boil your water, then let it sit for about a minute or two. Let it cool to roughly 60 degrees Celsius or about 140 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the temperature where the cup feels hot to your hand, but you can briefly touch it. And you can sip it without burning your tongue at that temperature. Add the rosebuds and the pitted dates into your cup, cover it, and let them steep for about 5 minutes. This creates the flavorful aromatic base. It releases the rose oil and the natural sweetness of the dates. Now, after those 5 minutes, let the water cool a bit more, down to about 40 degrees Celsius or around 104 degrees Fahrenheit, comfortably warm to drink, not hot. This is the moment, the sacred moment when your black goji berries go in, and please do yourself a favor, use a clear glass mug, not a ceramic one or a thermos. Watch what happens. The goji berries will slowly release these beautiful, wispy streamers of purple or blue, like smoke, like silk, gently unfurling in the water. It's not just pretty, it's living proof that the anthocyanins are intact. If your water is more alkaline, it'll turn a dreamy blue. If it's more acidic, it'll be a rich royal purple. This is the anthocyanin releasing. It's alive. Let it steep for another 5 minutes. Until the berries are plump and the water is clear, jewel toned. Then take a slow, mindful sip. It's subtly sweet, delicately floral, and it feels like it just melts into your system, not heavy, not bloating, but as if it's dispersing warmth to your limbs and a gentle calm to your mind. This is what we call chi transformation, when food is truly assimilated, not just swallowed. Now, let me tell you another case. A patient of mine, a senior bank executive, 45 years old, managing a large team under enormous pressure. She wore thick, high-quality makeup, but underneath, I could see her skin was grayish, dull, with dark circles and persistent puffiness. She came in with insomnia, heart palpitations, chest tightness, and alarming hair loss, handfuls in the shower. She was already on sleep aids and antidepressants from her regular doctor, but she felt foggy, heavy, and her periods had completely stopped for 6 months. She said to me, "Doctor, I'm only 45, but I feel like I'm 60. Is this just my new normal?" I told her, "This isn't your new normal. This is a severe imbalance. You're in an air-conditioned office all day, staring at screens, your mind racing over numbers and deadlines. Your heart fire is too high, your kidney water is too cold, and the two can't communicate because your liver energy is all locked up. Your body is like a pressure cooker with no release valve." I didn't put her on any expensive exotic herbs, no ginseng, no deer antler, no cordyceps. Instead, I had her start this Queen's Glow tea every other night. But I added two conditions. One, when she drinks it, she must put her phone away. No email, no social media, no news, no television. Just sit quietly, watch the colors unfold, and mentally say to herself, "This is my time to nourish and restore." That's not mystical, that's mind-body connection, and there's real science behind it. Two, after drinking, she should soak her feet in warm water for about 15 minutes until she just starts to break a light sweat. Not a drenching workout. This draws excess energy downward and helps ground her. She was skeptical. That's it, no pills. I said, "Sometimes the simplest approach is the most powerful. Try this for 2 weeks, exactly as I've described." 2 weeks later, she walked back in, and I could see it immediately. Her forehead was actually glowing. The grayness was receding. She said, "I can't believe it. I tapered off my sleep meds, and after the tea and foot soak, I slept like a log. I haven't slept that well in years, and in the morning, my face is less puffy, my foundation glides on, and people at work ask me if I got a facial." That's when it clicked. The black goji nourished kidney yin, the rose soothed her liver, the dates strengthened her digestion. Together, they got her internal energy flowing again. That downward heart fire warmed her kidney water, and the kidney water rose to nourish her head and face. This is what we call water-fire balance, the ideal harmonious state. We weren't just treating her insomnia, we were correcting a total system imbalance, of which insomnia was just one visible symptom. Now, back to why we do this 3 times a week, not 7. Because too much consistency can actually dull the therapeutic effect. If you carry a child everywhere, they never learn to walk on their own. We give the body a boost one day, then rest and let it digest, integrate, and use its own resources. That pause is just as important as the active push. Also, while black goji is mild, it is somewhat nourishing and slightly rich. For those with a sluggish digestive system, daily use might leave a little extra dampness, a thicker tongue coating, slightly looser stool. The off days give your digestive system room to process everything completely, turning it into usable qi and blood. rather than storing it as undigested residue. This subtle distinction is often the difference between "this didn't work" and "this changed my life." Let me share one more powerful example. This one really stayed with me. A retired school teacher in her early 60s came to see me with a diagnosis of Sjogren's syndrome, a classic autoimmune condition that causes severe dryness. Her eyes were so dry she had to use artificial tears every half hour. Her mouth was so parched she couldn't swallow a dry cracker without water. Her skin was flaky, rough, like bark, especially on her shins. She carried a water bottle everywhere, but no matter how much she drank, she never felt quenched. She had run to the bathroom constantly, but the dryness never improved. She'd been on steroids and immunosuppressants for years under good rheumatology care, but side effects had piled up: puffy face, weak bones, elevated blood sugar, and yet her core dryness didn't budge. When I looked at her tongue, it was red, smooth, and deeply cracked like a dry, parched riverbed in summer. This is a classic sign of what we call yin fluid exhaustion. Her body wasn't just low on water. It was low on the kind of fluids that your body can actually hold and use at a cellular level. I didn't give her any bitter, aggressive herbs because her digestive system was already sensitive from years of medication. Instead, I recommended black goji paired with white fungus, snow fungus, which you can find in many Asian grocery stores. Here's the crucial difference. You cook the white fungus first on its own until it breaks down into a thick, gelatinous, almost jelly-like consistency. You let that cool down to warm, not hot, and then you stir in the black goji berries at the very end. Never, ever cook the goji along with the fungus. Why this pairing? White fungus moistens the lungs, and in this system, the lungs govern the skin and all mucous membranes. Its sticky gel-like texture helps hold moisture in place. Black goji nourishes the kidney system, which rules the body's overall fluid metabolism and distribution. It's like trying to water a desert. If you just pour liquid onto dry sand, it all drains away instantly. You need a moisture retaining agent, a kind of clay or sponge, to hold that water in the soil. The white fungus gel acts exactly like that. It traps the nourishing power of the black goji and holds it in the tissues, especially the skin and mucous membranes. After 3 months of having a small bowl of this every other day, she came back with visible improvement. She told me she had enough saliva to eat meals without chasing every bite with water. Her eyes still felt dry, but she could go 2 or 3 hours without needing drops. The flaky patches on her legs had softened. She held my hand and said, "I never thought I could feel this normal again." That's the power. It's not just about beauty or vanity. It's about rebuilding your reserves at a foundational level. But, and this is crucial, you can drink the perfect tea, follow every detail, but if you're simultaneously doing things that drain your body, you're sabotaging yourself. Let me give you the absolute no-nos, the things you must avoid while using black goji. First taboo: do not consume it alongside heavy, greasy, fatty foods. Think fried chicken, fatty pork belly, creamy sauces, buttery pastries. Black goji is nourishing and mildly rich. If your stomach is already struggling with a heavy, oily meal, the two together will simply stagnate. You'll feel bloated, uncomfortably full, possibly nauseous, or even have loose, oily stools. The issue isn't the berry, it's the combination. Whenever you're tonifying, you want to eat lighter, simpler meals to give your digestive system a fair chance to absorb. Second, if you have an active cold, flu, sore throat, or thick yellow-green phlegm, stop immediately. Many people think, "I'm sick, I need to boost my immunity with tonics." That's actually backwards in this framework. When you have an acute infection, what we call an external pathogen, your body's defensive energy is busy fighting at the surface. If you take something deeply nourishing and inward directed like black goji, it can pull that defensive energy inward, essentially closing the front door and inviting the invader to stay longer. That can prolong your illness. Wait until you are completely clear of all symptoms: no fever, no cough, no sore throat, before reintroducing any tonic. Third, never drink it when you are in the middle of a heated argument, just after a major upset, or when you're shaking with anger. Your internal energy is chaotic and surging upward at that moment. If you take any tonic, then it will follow that chaotic energy, potentially worsening chest tightness, headaches, or even spiking your blood pressure. First, calm down. Drink a plain glass of warm water. Take 10 deep, slow breaths. Let your nervous system settle. Then, when you feel centered, enjoy your tea. Timing matters just as much as ingredients. And finally, there's one specific group I advise to be extra careful: people with severe internal dampness. How do you recognize it? You wake up with puffy eyes and a swollen face. Your hair gets greasy overnight, your stool is sticky, hard to flush, leaves residue on the toilet bowl. Your tongue has a thick, greasy looking coating, and there are deep teeth marks along the edges. Your body right now is essentially a swamp. Your primary task isn't to add more moisture, it's to drain and dry that swamp. You can still use black goji, but not alone. You'd need to pair it with herbs or foods that help clear dampness and strengthen digestive function, like dried tangerine peel or poria fungus otherwise. You're literally adding water to an already waterlogged system, which can make you feel heavy, sluggish, and bloated. This is why I always remind my patients traditional medicine isn't a one-size-fits-all manual. It's alive, personalized, responsive. Two people with the exact same product can have completely different outcomes. Because their starting point is different, that's both the complexity and the beauty of this approach. So here's my challenge to you. Start small, pick one change, maybe 3 cups of Queen's Glow tea a week with the proper brewing method. Pair that with a slightly earlier bedtime, a little less processed food, a short walk after dinner. Don't expect overnight miracles. This is about cumulative, steady restoration. Your body will reward you slowly but genuinely. That's all I have for today. In our next session, I'll cover other practical, everyday topics like how to improve your sleep quality without pills, what to do if your hands and feet are always cold, how to ease through perimenopause more smoothly, and much more. There's so much to share, and I'm grateful you're here for it. If you found this helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next one, and share this with a friend or family member who might be struggling with similar issues. Let's get this information into more hands. And one final reminder, this is for educational and informational purposes only. I'm speaking as a doctor, but I'm not your doctor. Always talk to your own primary care provider before making any significant changes to your diet, supplements, or health routine. If you're dealing with any ongoing health concerns, please schedule a visit with your own physician. My goal here is to help you understand the science and the tradition behind these practices, not to replace the personalized care you deserve from your own healthcare team. Take care of yourselves, be kind to your body, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.